DreamWorks has given us some of the most iconic animated heroes of all time, and some not so iconic heroes. Every kid born in the 2000s grew up on DreamWorks movies. These movies were our literal childhood. So I thought, why not rewatch every single DreamWorks movie and rank all 33 heroes from worst to best? Because everyone's totally gonna agree with my opinion, and no one's gonna roast me in the comments for my rankings. Right? Also, special shout out to Jesse Jokes for the inspiration. You guys should all go check out his ranking DreamWorks villains video. So starting at the bottom of the barrel, coming in at number 33 is Ruby Gillman from Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken. She's this high school girl who finds out she's actually a kraken, which is apparently a big deal because krakens are supposed to protect the ocean or something. So she starts turning into this giant sea monster, learns to swim, fights an evil mermaid, standard ocean stuff. I don't know, but this all just seemed extremely uninteresting. This movie is like if Mean Girls and the Little Mermaid got together and had a baby. Next on the list at number 32, we've got Lucky Prescott from Spirit Untamed. She moves to the countryside after being a city girl her whole life, meets a wild horse named Spirit, and basically learns about friendship, bravery, and other things you'd find written in glitter in a 12-year-old's diary. The thing is, she doesn't actually do much. Spirit is the one risking his life, breaking free, and carrying the story. Lucky's just kind of there. So all in all, not the best hero. At number 31, we have Poppy from Trolls. She's the queen of the trolls, and her entire personality is just being aggressively happy. Like she solves every conflict with a song and a glitter bomb. Bad guys attack? Better sing a mashup. Depression? Try throwing glitter at it. I get that she's supposed to be a symbol of optimism, but it's the kind of optimism that makes you want to eat a gun and pull the trigger. At number 30, we have Zed from Ants. His character being voiced by Woody Allen kinda tells you everything you need to know about him. He's a worker ant in the middle of a midlife crisis. He falls for a princess, starts a rebellion by accident, and spends most of the movie complaining about how meaningless life is. Honestly, Zed is just a Walmart version of Flick from A Bug's Life. At number 29, we have O from Home. He's this tiny purple alien who's basically the galaxy's least competent invader, but with the enthusiasm of a puppy on caffeine. He accidentally takes over Earth and kidnaps all the humans, but deep down just wants a friend. Which, if you think about it, makes him the nicest dictator ever. His incompetence and goofy nature puts him low on this ranking, but I mean, at least his heart's in the right place. At number 28, we have Yi from Abominable. She's a teenage girl from Shanghai who finds a lost Yeti on her roof and decides to embark on a cross-country adventure to return her home, all while dodging government agents and helicopters. The Yeti, named Everest, is basically a real-life Bigfoot. I mean, it's a cute movie, I guess, but Yi's kind of a useless hero. At number 27, we've got Rose from The Wild Robot. Basically, if Wall-E and Mother Nature had a baby. She washes up on a deserted island and somehow ends up becoming a wildlife foster mother. She raises orphaned goslings and learns how to live among animals. It's sweet, heartwarming, and also low-key terrifying. I mean, empathy is literally the only thing separating humans from robots. The moment your toaster starts asking how your day was, just know it's over for us. At number 26, we have Miguel and Tulio from The Road to El Dorado. These two are the human equivalent of fake it till you make it. They lie, scheme, and stumble their way into becoming rulers of a lost city, all while flirting with danger. And occasionally each other, let's be honest. One's got the brains, the other's got the charm, and together, they have weird sexual chemistry. At number 25, we have Ginger from Chicken Run. She's the feisty hen who refuses to accept that she's destined for the dinner plate. So she masterminds this elaborate escape plan from a chicken farm like she's Michael Schofield To be fair to her, she is kinda the only one in there with half a brain. She's brave and clever, but honestly, just not as memorable as the other heroes on this list. At number 24, we have Dogman from Dogman. He's a literal half-dog, half-cop hybrid created after a police officer and his canine partner get mashed together in a freak accident. The movie's still a little too fresh to rank any higher. Give it a few years and maybe a couple sequels and Dogman might just earn his place among the greats. That being said, I don't know how comfortable I'd feel letting a dog cop give me a pat down. At number 23, we have Susan Murphy from Monsters vs. Aliens. She starts as your average bride-to-be until a meteor turns her into a 50-foot giant woman. She gets drafted by the government to fight alien invasions, which sounds like the worst honeymoon ever. She's tough, sarcastic, and supposed to be an empowered female lead. It's kinda hard to take it seriously when half the time the monsters sound like they're auditioning for a comedy roast. I remember watching this movie as a kid on Halloween and thinking it was a literal fever dream. Still a pretty cool hero in my opinion. At number 22, we have Theodore Templeton from The Boss Baby. Boss Baby is exactly what the title suggests. A literal baby in a suit who works for a secret corporation managing baby popularity. He drinks formula like it's espresso, carries a briefcase, and is a corporate asshole. Him and his brother Tim fight a lot until Tim finds out that Boss Baby is actually a spy sent on a secret mission involving a battle between puppies and babies. He's a cool hero, but at the end of the day, he is only a baby, so... At number 21, we have Oscar from Shark Tale. He's a small fish working in a whale wash who lies about killing a shark to boost his street cred. Which, if you think about it, is the underwater version of a kid who brags about fake hookups in high school. He spends the movie chasing fame, screwing over his friends, and generally being a selfish little fishy. I mean, he does end up pulling the baddest fish in all of Bikini Bottom, but his selfish behavior is the reason why he's so low on the list. At number 20, we have Grug from The Croods. He's the classic caveman dad whose only job is to keep his family alive, which he does by yelling at rocks. He's kinda like that dad who refuses to update his phone because he's convinced the government's tracking him through the camera. Despite being loud and stubborn, he's also surprisingly relatable. A guy who just wants to protect his family but is terrified of change. Watching him slowly accept new ways is like watching your grandpa learn how to use a smartphone. Painful, but hopeful. At number 19, we have Turbo from Turbo. He's literally a snail who dreams of being fast, which is like if I woke up tomorrow and decided I wanted to be a loaf of bread. He gets his powers from falling into a car engine and absorbing NOS, which sounds like the best pre-workout ever. Then he goes on to race in the Indy 500 against actual cars, and not one person stops and thinks, this is a bit weird. Turbo's not a bad hero, honestly. He's determined, inspiring, and has that underdog energy. If the underdog also left slime trails. People hate on this movie a lot, but I respect him. At the end of the day, he's just a snail with a dream. At number 18, we have Roddy from Flushed Away. This poor rat is living his best life in a rich London penthouse until he gets flushed down the toilet like last night's Taco Bell. Then he ends up in a secret rat city in the sewers and spends the rest of the movie trying to get back to his porcelain throne. He's prissy, a little useless at first, but ends up becoming a hero in the grossest, wettest, and most British way possible. Roddy's arc is actually kinda sweet. From spoiled house pet to sewer savior, he literally takes a shit journey and comes out a better person. And look, I don't care how posh you are, if you survive being flushed into the British sewage system, you deserve a medal. Coming in at number 17 is RJ from Over the Hedge. He's a raccoon who cons a bunch of forest animals into stealing food so he can repay a bear mafia debt. So the movie is practically Sopranos, but instead of the Italian mafia and drugs, we instead have animals stealing food. RJ's slick, clever, and manipulative. Basically Bugs Bunny if he had a gambling problem. But by the end, he actually cares about the animals and does the whole self-sacrifice thing, which is cool. That being said, he's still not the best hero in the world. At number 16, we have Sinbad from Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. He sails the seven seas, flirts with danger, steals magical artifacts, and has the energy of a guy who peaked in high school and is now on his 5th solo trip to Bali. The man's hot, reckless, and casually fights sea monsters like it's just a regular Thursday. And you know what? I kinda love that for him. Sinbad doesn't try to be deep or wise or heroic at first. He just wants the bag and maybe a hot goddess or two. But the dude eventually becomes selfless, sacrifices everything for his friend, and doesn't even get the girl in the end. That's pain. Better yet, that's maturity. We've officially made it over halfway. Give yourself a pat on the back. And hey, now that you have time, how about you subscribe? Coming in at number 15 is Mr. Peabody from Mr. Peabody and Sherman. He's a dog, a literal genius time-traveling dog who adopts a child. He's smarter than Einstein, speaks 17 languages, and probably does algebra problems in his spare time. But for all his genius, he still manages to get stuck in some of the most ridiculous time travel predicaments imaginable. Still, he's a great hero, even if he does look like he belongs in a cereal box for cornflakes. At number 14, we have Captain Underpants from Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. He's this hypnotized principal who turns into a superhero wearing tidy whities and a red cape. And if that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does. This man fights crime while dressed like your dad on laundry day, and somehow, he makes it work. He's technically a side effect of two kids hypnotizing their angry school principal, but credit where it's due. He throws hands with talking toilets and evil lunch ladies like a champ. Plus, the original books the movie is based on is peak childhood literature. At number 13, we've got Moses from the Prince of Egypt. Yeah, that Moses. Parted the Red Sea, freed the Hebrews, threw hands with the Pharaoh. The guy literally argues with God and lives to tell the tale. This movie slaps harder than a chappal in an Indian household. It's intense, emotional, and Moses goes through the kind of identity crisis that would send most of us into 6 years of therapy. But he powers through and ends up leading his people to freedom. So all in all, a great hero. At number 12, we've got Mr. Wolf from The Bad Guys. He leads a crew of animal criminals who somehow rob banks like it's a group project. But he's the only one who actually does the work while everyone else just watches. Mr. Wolf is that guy that your girlfriend tells you not to worry about. And even though he starts as a criminal, he eventually decides to go good. So a pretty good hero arc if you ask me. At number 11, we have Wallace and Gromit from Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Wallace is a quirky inventor, while Gromit is a silent dog who's clearly the smarter one of the two. They're basically the British version of Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. They team up to stop a giant rabbit from destroying the town's crops, so clearly a life or death mission on hand here. The reason these two are so high on this list is solely based on their iconic status. Now we're cracking into the big dogs category, the top 10 greatest heroes in DreamWorks history. Cracking into number 10, we've got Skipper from Penguins of Madagascar. Skipper is that guy. Everyone in the zoo knows who this guy is. The most elite spy in all of the kingdoms. Teams up with his fellow penguin spies to take down a many tentacled villain from destroying the whole world. He's smart, tactical, and dead serious about every ridiculous plan he comes up with. You think it's just a goofy kids movie until this bird starts talking about infiltration tactics like he was trained by James Bond himself. The smartest goddamn bird to walk on the face of this planet. At number 9, we have Spirit from Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. A horse so majestic, he doesn't even need dialogue. Spirit is out here resisting colonization, breaking free from ropes, and leading revolts. all while looking like he belongs on a teenage girl's bedroom poster in 2004. A beautiful Mustang stallion, captured and forced into submission, but he escapes and befriends a man along the way, all while falling in love with the pretty little horsey. Just a beautiful movie all in all. Spirit is like the Chris Hemsworth of the horse community. At number 8, it's Barry B. Benson from the Bee Movie. This little yellow dude sues the entire human race for stealing honey, and also steals a grown man's girlfriend. Like bro, he's 3 inches tall with a 2mm picker. How are you letting a bee steal your girl like that? Barry is just a stud in simple words. He breaks every rule of society. Bees don't talk, bees don't date humans, bees definitely don't pass the bar exam. But Barry does it all. He's a menace and a legend. Coming in at number 7, we have Jack Frost from Rise of the Guardians. This emo ice boy with frosted tips goes from prankster to full-on savior of childhood innocence. He's like if Elsa had ADHD and a skateboard. Jack spends the movie trying to find his place and ends up becoming the guardian of fun. The reason why Jack is so high up on this list is because he literally protects childhood wonder. I still remember how heartbroken I was as a kid when I first found out that Santa wasn't real. So any man who keeps children believing in magic gets a spot in my good books. At number 6, we have Alex the Lion from Madagascar. This dude is a Broadway performer trapped in a lion's body, and I mean that in the most dramatic way possible. He's the main event at the zoo, living like a celebrity until he's thrown out into the wild and realizes that steak doesn't grow on trees. Alex is flashy, narcissistic, and low-key feral. But hey, he is the main character from one of the most iconic DreamWorks franchises ever, so he definitely gets serious brownie points for that. At number 5, we have Megamind from Megamind. The ultimate underdog, villain turned hero with a head so big it puts KSI to shame. Megamind starts off evil, but when he finally defeats the hero, he gets bored, so he creates a new hero just to fight him. But the reason he ranks this high is simple. This was the only animated movie I've ever seen that's told entirely through the eyes of the villain. In a world oversaturated with squeaky clean, feel-good hero movies, Megamind felt like a breath of fresh air. He's funny, dramatic, and emotionally damaged in all the right ways. And honestly, the greatest anti-hero in all of animation. At number 4, it's Puss in Boots from Puss in Boots. He's a cat in a fantasy land, stealing magic beans from Jack and Jill alongside Humpty Dumpty. It's basically all your favorite childhood nursery rhymes blended into an animated nightmare. He's the perfect balance of deadly and graceful. Puss in Boots isn't just a sidekick anymore. He is the side that kicks. I have no clue what that meant, it just sounded cool. Now it's time for the podium, the big 3. At number 3, we have Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon. The scrawny Viking boy who befriends a murder lizard and somehow convinces an entire village to do the same. He starts as a total loser and ends up as a dragon riding war chief. He is the father of dragons. Hiccup's entire arc is about brains over brawn. While the other Vikings are busy screaming and swinging axes, he's out here inventing stuff and hugging dragons. But what makes Hiccup such a great hero is that he never tries to be someone he's not. He doesn't bulk up or become super macho. He wins with empathy and intelligence. The man literally made peace with dragons. Tell me he isn't the coolest 15-year-old you've ever met. And let's be real, this is one of the greatest movies DreamWorks has ever released. Coming in at number 2, one of the greatest, if not the greatest animation franchise ever created, we have Shrek from Shrek. The ogre, the myth, the meme. He just wanted people to leave him alone in a swamp and somehow ended up in a multi-movie adventure about love, friendship, and medieval politics. He's grumpy, green, and a lovable old ogre. Shrek taught an entire generation that you don't have to be conventionally pretty to be the main character. Sometimes you just need layers, like onions, or ogres, or depression.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me.
But behind the burps and the mud baths, Shrek's actually one of the most grounded, emotionally rich heroes out there. He's awkward, insecure, and constantly pushing people away, yet it still opens up himself to love and friendship. And let's be honest, any man who can put up with Donkey for more than 10 minutes deserves a medal. Shrek is the classic fairy tale story, but portrayed in the most realistic way. Shrek was extremely close to being number 1 on this list, but unfortunately, that place is reserved for one man and one man only. Or should I say, one panda. Coming in at number 1, the greatest hero in all of DreamWorks history, we have the legendary, the unstoppable, the noodle slinging, dragon flinging, small Ling, Kung Fu master himself, Po, the dragon warrior from Kung Fu Panda. Po is just a lovable, clumsy panda working in his dad's noodle shop, dreaming of Kung Fu glory. When the legendary dragon warrior is finally chosen, it turns out to be Po. But through sheer heart, accidental genius, and a shit ton of dumplings, he trains with the Furious Five and his master to take down the villainous Tai Lung, one of the greatest villains in DreamWorks history. Po's journey is classic underdog gold. Overweight, awkward, and zero kung fu skills when he starts, but with a heart bigger than his appetite. He's proof that you don't have to be ripped or fast to be a hero. You just need a lot of determination and enough dumplings to feed a whole village. His arc is about embracing who you are, flaws and all, turning what others see as weaknesses into strengths. He's the panda who literally eats away his problems, but never lets them stop him. And let's be real, Po being fat isn't just a joke about his size. It's a metaphor for how he carries the weight of expectations, failure, and self-doubt, then somehow flips it into Kung Fu mastery. The greatest Kung Fu master to ever live, no opponent worthy to defeat him. Except maybe his dietitian. Kung Fu Panda isn't just a movie, it's a lifestyle. Po isn't just number 1 on this list, he's number 1 in our hearts. So there's my official ranking of all the heroes in DreamWorks history, ranked from worst to best. If you disagree with any of my choices, please feel free to send your opinion over to my PO box. Anyways, thanks for watching, and hey, don't forget to subscribe!